the people of sake actually brought me into sake.
Back in 1988, this place was actually in Ginza on the main drag.
At first it was kind of soy sauce, it was miso.
To the point where it actually changed my life.
New Year's Day 1989.
Not just sake as a beverage, but all the culture and history and
Hi, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Sake on Air, the world's first podcast about sake, shochu, and awamori. Today we're broadcasting a little hisashiburi ni from the JSS Information Center, and I'm Frank, as you guys might be able to tell, and today I am joined by...
Marie and
Miho.
Excellent. So, it's not Sake Day today, but we're releasing this episode on Sake Day, and we're going to look at the sakes that come out around this time, the hiyaoroshi sakes. I don't actually know much about hiyaoroshi, so Miho and Marie, take it away.
great. Well, I would still say Happy World Sake Day anyway, October 1st. So let's jump into hiyaoroshi. First and foremost, it's a sake that's released in the autumn. So you usually brew sake over the winter months, and you yield or you have sake that's harvested in the springtime. And normally sake would then go through several months of maturation, either in the bottle or in the tank. But hiyaoroshi goes through one round of pasteurization or hiire, I believe before maturation, and then it sits in the tank for several months. So give or take maybe 5 months between spring and now in the fall.
Yes. I think hiyaoroshi, the name itself means it's released when it gets chillier. So yeah, as you mentioned, it gets matured for several months after being fermented.
Well, you just mentioned it gets released when it's chillier. I think with global warming and climate change in mind, we may have to push back hiyaoroshi season until maybe November or something. Although, with that said, this year we are experiencing a couple of chillier days already here in late September in Tokyo, but it's still unusual.
Chillier meaning like 27. So today I have 3 hiyaoroshis that are actually served at the information center. So if anyone in Tokyo who are interested in tasting the same sakes, you can taste them in the information center probably up until the end of October. But if you're interested,
while supplies last.
Yes.
Come on, get them quick.
So I wanted to share the experience of sake drinkers, how we pick and how we pair with food, how we find the perfect temperature, that kind of what goes behind the scenes today. So I have 3 different hiyaoroshis. So we haven't tasted them at all. One is joku. It's a junmai. It's from Aomori, from Hachinohe Shuzo, or Hachinohe Shurui. I'll share the spec or what's on the label. So it has 15% of alcohol. Rice polishing rate is 65%. Sake meter +1, acidity 1.6, and it's made with mashigura and hanafubuki. So those are the rice that's used. The second one is Mongai Fushutsu, Junmai Ginjo. It's from Tochigi Nishibori Shuzo. 15% alcohol, rice polishing rate 55%, sake meter +2, acidity 1.4, and the rice is Yume Sasara. The third one, Takaji. It's a Yamahai Junmai from Okayama, 18 Sakari Shuzo, and 15% alcohol, 55% polishing rate, sake meter -2, acidity 1.9, and it's made with Oyama Nishiki. So maybe we can go one by one. So the first one, Joku, Junmai. And when you saw the spec, what kind of flavor did you imagine?
So I guess I would start by saying, like, you can learn to read the label but it's not quite exactly the same with picking a bottle of wine in the way that what you see on the label, like the numbers and the stats or the specs, if you will, don't exactly or don't always translate to how you taste or how the sake tastes for you.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, what's on the label can be helpful sometimes, but it's not always reliable.
I would say, as a general rule of thumb, the higher the sake meter is, the drier the sake is. Usually, I would say like +1, +2. It's quite standard, maybe. But the underlying acidity level can also impact how you perceive the sake as well. So if you have, hypothetically, 2 bottles of sake with the exact same Nihonshu meter or sake meter, with one having a much higher acidity level, that one will likely taste drier because of the acidity, as opposed to the other sake with the same sake meter but lower acidity level. What do you think, Frank?
I mean, Joku, I think is how we're supposed to say it, has its brown label with acorns and squirrels eating acorns on it. So I would pick that because it's cute and fun.
Or go that way. Yeah, we all
Right?
do.
I don't know. For me, I have been led astray by the sake value meter. I have been led astray by the acidity when it's on there. I feel like with eating rice, especially, the amount of polishing is very hard to say.
Yeah,
So-
100% agree.
Wait, so how do you imagine this sake to taste like?
I think the joku, for me, I would say would be like a lighter style of sake. I think it would benefit from being paired with tempura or something.
Ah, interesting. I don't really look at sake meter or acidity level so much unless it's super high or super low. But I usually look at the polishing rate and where it comes from. So this one is from Awamori, and the other sake breweries I know in Awamori tend to have kind of umami rich, slightly on the sweeter side sake. So I kind of imagined this to be in a similar flavor range.
How about you, Frank?
I am so captured by the autumny colors of the label. It just makes me think of mushrooms. I have no idea if it's going to go well with any sort of mushroomy thing. I don't even know if it's going to have like a mushroom umami-ness in it.
So we sounded like Miho and I predicted a lighter flavor profile, whereas Frank predicted slightly maybe a fuller bodied flavor profile.
All right, so let's taste it and see if our guesses are anywhere close to what it tastes like. So let's kampai.
Kampai! Very interesting. I would say it's like very clean and surprisingly crisp for it being a hiyaoroshi. It does taste sort of more like maybe mellower and more umami rich than I expected it to be from just reading the label. What do you think?
So it has a quite some fruity, sweet aroma to me, and a little bit of
Maybe
cereal.
like Asian pear on the nose?
Yes,
but it's not a
definitely.
very fragrant style of sake. I
Right.
mean, because it's a hiyaoroshi as
true.
well.
It's not like melon or
It's not
pineapple
like
or banana, but
screaming aromatic, but I think if you kind of
very
look
gentle.
for it, very gentle, like I get that Asian pear sort of nose. But for me, like there's this like surprising tartness, like green apple almost.
Yes, towards the end.
And it's a lot drier than I expected it to be.
Interesting. To me, it tastes not like linear sweet, but has this kind of fuller sweetness and umami, and it's quite thick. It does have the sweetness and umami, but towards the end, it has a slight tartness. to me.
Mm.
And the finish is quite clean. Frank, what's your take?
I
You
mean,
can
it's
say.
very sake-y.
I think you're very right. It is sake.
It is the type of sake that I expect if I'm going to order sake in a restaurant and I don't know what kind it's going to be. I think it's a very good, very standard is maybe a little unfair, but it's like what I want if I'm just ordering, like, give me your basic general, this is going to be good at a good place to go drinking or a good place to eat. I think it's going to go really well with like the salmon belly that you brought and stuff like that. I think it fits with Japanese food really nicely.
So for the listeners, just so that you have an idea, we're having a bit of a potluck situation over here. We all brought in like little snacks and nibbles that we think might work well with the three sakes. And we welcome you to do the same if you're listening at home.
Yeah. Would you warm this up?
I actually like it just as is, like room temperature ish.
Yeah, I like it as is. But as soon as Frank mentioned salmon, I was like, oh, this has to be warmer because I want it to melt the fat of salmon.
Right. I mean, yeah, let's talk about our pairings, right? So like, since I can't make tempura on the fly here, I did bring in like tempura inspired fried snacks of nanohana, sort of like fried canola flour chips. But I also, as a backup, brought these smoked cheese, not too heavily smoked, just very slightly smoked cheese. I'm starting to feel like maybe the cheese might work better. We don't know.
Yeah,
Happy to try.
I brought the pickles, cabbage pickles.
Oh, interesting.
It has the saltiness that could bring out the sweetness from sake. I did also kind of imagine this to be a very standard type of sake in a good way and kind of like subtle. And I like pairing those sakes with like pickles because it has a slight acidity and saltiness, and it usually brings out the flavor of sake in a way that I like. So
When you say pickles, you mean like Japanese pickles, right?
Japanese pickles, sorry, yeah, not Western.
Not your dill pickles and not your gherkins. How would you describe this? It's not a nukazuke, but it's a Japanese style quick pickled veggies.
It's just slightly salty, crunchy, very fresh. How do you like the pairing?
I think it works really well with the pickles or the tsukemono. And then I think you mentioned this earlier. The slight saltiness in the vegetable really accentuates the sweetness. Like now, it's tasting a lot less dry than when I had it on its own.
So smoked cheese, it's good, but I feel like the smokiness takes over.
Yeah. I think it almost makes the sake taste a little more bitter.
I don't really taste the sake that much. I feel like smokiness just wins.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
The canola sprout tempura chips are very nice. It kind of melts in your mouth in the way that like a good tempura does, but
It's very crunchy and light as normal chips, but it has that kind of green
vegetal.
and slight bitter flavors with this tempura. I feel like sake is highlighting the great flavors, the bitterness of this tempura more than they're playing like equal parts. Does that make sense?
With the chips, I feel like the sake tastes slightly more like citrusy.
Yeah, I feel like the flavor of the tempura just came out more.
I still enjoy the pickles though.
Yeah, they're both great pairings, but slightly in a different way.
Right.
So Miho, though, you mentioned that you might want to warm this up. It's maybe a little cold.
Maybe we should try that later because then we have to. Should we do it now?
I mean, we could
Yeah.
do it now.
Okay.
The information center has the facilities to
Yeah.
warm things up
Okay,
nicely,
I'll just
so
do
maybe let's try that.
So I warmed it up to around 60 degrees. Now I think it's about 50.
It actually stands up to heat more than I expected it would.
Interesting.
I think the mouthfeel is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely like a lighter bodied sake that you would have warm.
Mm.
But I do feel like maybe for what you gain in the mouthfeel, you lose on the nose. Because
Yes,
now
yeah.
I'm not really smelling anything. It smells a little heady, obviously, because it's like there's some alcohol being evaporated.
It got a little drier.
Mm.
I taste less sweetness.
What would you pair this with?
I'm looking at salmon, grilled salmon.
Something like shio saba,
It's
like
something a
grilled
bit-
fish, but like something maybe not quite as fatty as salmon. And maybe I'm just gonna go off tangent a little bit and talk about like how hiyaoroshi used to not be my favorite style of sake when I first got into drinking sake, because for me hiyaoroshi has like this sort of ambivalent or like slightly confusing flavor profile in that because it's only had a single pasteurization, it definitely has a bit of that nama feel to it. But at the same time, because it's had slightly longer maturation than your standard sake, there's like a bit of that matured characteristic as well, which in my personal opinion sort of manifests itself in this sort of slightly gamey, slightly more bitter flavor profile. So when I first got into sake, I found those two sort of like managing to bring those two worlds together a bit more of a challenge. And I still do to this day find hiyaoroshi sake to be a bit more, not necessarily powerful, but a bit more expressive in their flavor profile in general.
When I have it, it always tastes fresher than I expect.
100%.
And I just tried it with cured ham, and it tastes nicely because the sake has that kind of like slightly astringent, melony note, or maybe it comes out with ham. So it's quite nice. And I just realized that Joku hiyaoroshi, this one specifically, has another name, Risu no Shukakai, so the harvest festival of the squirrels.
Aww.
We're still on the first one, and we should probably move on to the second one.
It's been quite some time talking about a single sake.
I know.
This is the,
I realized that maybe 3 was too much. But
but that's kind of the thing, right, with sake. I think it's probably true in the wine world and in the more professional tasting experience that you spend time with a single beverage kind of figuring stuff out and doing that testing, that like trying the sake at this temperature, it's trying the sake with this food, with that food, with a bunch of different foods, which is fun in its own self, but also can take a really long time.
yeah, and fun. A lot of fun. Anyways, so the second one is Mongai Fushutsu, Junmai Ginjo. It's from Tochigi. The information center now carries 19 hiyaoroshis, and I had to pick 3 for this episode, and I tried to pick 3 diverse ones from different areas. Anyway, so this one in particular, Mongai Fushutsu, it's the sake that I thought was delicious for the very first time years ago. Yeah, my parents went on like a day trip and kind of stopped by at this random brewery, which happened to be this one, and got a really, really tasty sake called Mongai Fushutsu. And all of my family was like, wow. And that's really the beginning of my sake journey.
Oh
So
my
I
God,
just
we're
had to
coming
pick it.
full circle
Exactly.
on your sake journey. Oh, I am like doubly excited to be trying this now.
Oh, I hope you'll like it.
I'm sure we will.
So it's 15% alcohol, 55% polishing rate, sake meter +2, acidity 1.4, and yume sasara is the rice.
Mm.
I mean, I can go first with my thoughts, which ignore all of the specs again.
Uh-huh.
So the label says Junmai Ginjo, Karakuchi, hiyaoroshi on it. So I suspect it's going to be a little more ginjo-y than the Joku comparatively. It's going to have more of an aroma, but it's going to be a little bit drier. And then it's a pretty classic label. It's just got the Chinese characters on a white background. So I'm thinking maybe a little more traditional of a hiyaoroshi or like sake compared to the Joku, which is like, it's very sake-like, but it's kind of this, to me at any rate, it's very refined in a going with food, very thinking of the season of autumn, where I wonder if this is not necessarily going to be so autumnal. It's going to be more like more of a ginjo, more light, and more maybe of a little modern style, despite the fact that it has kind of an older style label. But I don't know. We have to open it and find out.
This being a ginjo, I would expect there to be a bit more aromatic characteristics than the first one that we tried. Perhaps a bit more floral, slightly more like star anise, or maybe, a bit more sort of expressive on the nose, and maybe a little lighter in the body.
Wait, Miho, what do you think?
I always associate sake with regions. So Tochigi sake to me could be on the more round, smooth, good amount of umami type of sake, or fruitier, one or the other. To me,
I actually really like Tochigi sake.
me too. Same. Yeah. So let's see if this tastes like what you imagined.
I'm just giving it a sniff now, and I think this is like pleasantly surprising. It's not very ginjo-y on the nose, or at least not
not at all.
initially. And for me, it's giving a lot more of the matured characteristics.
Yes.
Like it smells almost, it's like sort of like nutty and slightly more savory. Kind of like dark honey, like one of those like raw honey, the expensive honey that you get, or like mitarashi dango glazing.
Yes.
How would you translate
Kinda like
this?
a
It's like
slightly soy sauce like.
yeah, it's sweet soy. It's not your teriyaki, but it's like your sweet soy.
Ooh.
So I'm wrong, basically. My read of the label is entirely off.
Yeah, I'm totally wrong with this one too. I brought in, or Miho helped me bring in fruits and prosciutto for this because I expected it to be a bit more ginjo style, like your classical ginjo style sake, where the nose is a lot more fruity or floral. But this one is very, very different, but very surprisingly, but very pleasantly.
It's much drier than I thought. It has a kind of like a honey-like sweetness, but the finish is very sharp in a way. It cleans up quite fast. I don't know. Does that
Like
make
it has
sense?
a kire. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like on the nose, and then like when you taste it initially, it almost has that like sort of sticky glaze, like that mitarashi or sweet soy like characters. But the actual dryness is like deceptively dry. So it has a bit more of like a clear finish, not so much like lingering around
Right.
that perhaps you might get with your like standard aged sake, which can be a bit like longer which can have a longer finish. Interesting.
No, I think I get that. I think I'm picking up what you're putting down. That makes sense because it does stay. You said it has like akire, but I feel like even if most of the flavor goes away, there's something that lingers kind of in the mouth for a long time. It
Mm.
makes me want to eat something.
Yeah.
Maybe could you pass me the sausages? The dried
salami?
the dried sausages.
This is definitely a lot more sort of savory and matured flavor profile than I expected. Yeah, so maybe like, little these like jerky bites or salami bites might work
Right.
well. Or I was thinking even like something with miso might work, especially like your darker colored misos that
some
have like
nuts.
both the saltiness but sort of that funky fermented more of an earthier flavor. You can definitely do this with like maybe maitake
Ooh.
mushrooms, which is a shame we didn't bring any.
Right.
But
I can see maitake tempura
mm,
with this. Would be really nice.
right? Oh, I'm salivating.
These they're a little bit weird salami sausages.
What
They
do you
have-
mean?
Well, they have perilla in them, so Japanese shiso.
Oh,
Pretty good. Normal salami would be better.
mm,
The perilla, because the perilla is such like a
it's a
herbally,
green,
greeny
yeah.
flavor. It kind of goes the wrong direction. I feel like.
Mm.
I must report that the meatball with teriyaki like sauce pairs really nicely with this one.
Yeah, because the sake already tastes slightly like teriyaki.
Yes, yeah. I'm warming up this sake now to see how the temperature changes the flavor.
But the nose is beautiful when warmed up. No wonder this is your most favorite sake.
How did the flavor change to you?
I think it brings out the mellow characteristics even more. Initially, I thought on the nose, it's you notice the caramelization quite a lot more with this sake when compared with the first. But when you warm it up, like this warm sort of like warm cereal nose is a lot more highlighted. And then on the mouthfeel, it's not too overpowering. It's not a very like darker. I'm doing air quotes as I say that now. It doesn't have that darker matured sake feel. Not quite, but it's definitely has that like nuttier, sort of more mellower, umami driven characteristics.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the edge has taken away in a way, and all the good characteristics are opening up. Definitely nuttier, more umami forward. I'm like somehow imagining Hawaiian pizza with ham and pineapple and cheese. I don't know.
I would normally say that's an abomination, but I can totally see what you mean here in this context. Like that little savory and sweet, character is what we're all getting out of the sake. What do you think?
So I just had another one of the perilla salamis. Much better.
I'm gonna give it
Much better warm. I think it has a little bit of green grassiness when it's colder compared to when it's warmed up. I think you lose a lot of that, and then the perilla kind of comes in and doesn't fix it. It adds that back in, which I liked a lot.
Yeah, this is exactly why it's always good to play around with temperature because you'll surprise yourself how drastically the flavor changes sometimes.
100%. Yeah.
In a good way. We should move on to the third one. Takaji, so Yamahai Junmai Omochi, unfiltered, pasteurized, unadjusted. It's Genshu.
It's
But-
really a party in a bottle because you have all these different qualities,
It's
It's
true.
not only hiyaoroshi, but it's Yamahai, right? Giving it a bit more robust characteristics.
Yeah.
And it's genshu, so the undiluted. So
Yeah.
it probably packs a punch, maybe. And then
Yeah, but it's only 16% alcohol.
oh, does that
Which
mean
is
it's a
also
little
interesting.
sweeter?
We'll find out. 58% polish rate. Was the information all wrong?
I feel like let's see.
And it's
yeah,
from-
no. You told us it's 55% from the get go.
58.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay. I'll
Like
tell you.
that 3%
tell you
is
what it's
going
not
to, destroy our theory.
Oops, sorry. And it's from Okayama.
Well, first and foremost, I'm just going to say how much of a fan I am of Omachi Sakamai. And
Yes, me too.
even more happy now that this comes from Okayama, the birthplace of Omachi. Omachi, for me, has a more sort of mineral driven flavor profile.
And to me, omochi can
I
be
could be
quite
wrong.
juicy as well.
Mm.
I think the term juicy, when I use the term juicy, I'm thinking more of like juicy meat than juicy like fruit.
Like it makes you keep wanting more, like you're salivating juicy.
I'll tell you if this is
Okay,
juicy or
yeah.
not.
Well,
Maybe.
let's try it
Yeah.
and find out.
Okay.
This one is yet again very different. Actually, effervescent.
Maybe it kind of has the quality that makes me want to eat juicy meat.
For me, I'm getting like a canned apricot, like sort of like that little syrupy, sort of slightly more jammy cooked fruitiness. But there's definitely that like grassy, sort of like half dried hay flavor profile that I personally get from like a more nama style sake.
Interesting. Yeah, but it does have the nama
I mean,
character.
this is slightly fizzy,
Yeah. It kind of has, again, like the nashi, the Japanese or Asian pear, like subtle fruitiness and a little bit of acidity and kind of like oiliness to me.
Yeah, all of those things I agree 100%. I think I'm willing to go on a limb and say maybe those are because it's a Yamahai style. It Yamahai generally tends to yield a more bigger boned sake. And I think the higher acidity that we feel here
Right.
is definitely coming from Yamahai.
At this temperature, what would you pair this with?
At this temperature being the colder temperature.
So we started with red wine temperature, but then now it's coming a little closer to room temperature. It's quite fizzy and juicy, as we agreed.
The fizziness was definitely a big surprise to me. I
Yes, for
didn't
sure.
account for that when I put together my tasting today,
Mm-hmm.
or my
Right.
pairings today.
Yeah, I would say cured ham with pineapple would be nice. That's what it kind of tastes like to me.
I bet the lactic pickles would probably be nice.
Let's try with the cheeses here. You have like several different styles.
Yeah.
I just cheated, read on the label. So one's a Gouda, one's Camembert, one's a red cheddar, and one's Parmesan. So this is Parmesan.
I just had Gouda with Takaji, the third one. It's really, really nice.
It's not bad with Parmesan. I feel like they're both quite strong characters that they are like butting heads a little bit.
Right. I also warmed up this one. Now it's at 50 degrees Celsius. I'm very curious because I like warming up Yamahai.
So Mary, how was the heated Yamahai from Takaji?
Popular opinion, I don't love it myself. I think it tastes a little off balance. Like the beautiful harmony that we had when we enjoyed a sake at room temperature, it was a lot more sort of well harmonized, the texture and the flavor. This one for me here, sort of the texture's way too dry and way too sort of short. It's almost like as if there's no body.
Yeah, I feel like it's surprising because, I thought this would be great warm.
100%.
spec.
Like I had prepared like our pairing and like perhaps like my little cheat sheet here for this, like banking on this to be the best sake to be enjoyed warm,
Right.
at least based
Yeah.
on the stats that you sent me.
For sure.
So I'm here like being dumbfounded because, yeah, like you know how at room temperature we had the beautiful effervescence and it
Yeah.
definitely had that juiciness. I don't get that beautiful juiciness anymore when it's warm.
Mm. It's okay, but it's not amazing. And I feel like without the effervescence, or maybe because of the effervescence, there is that, not bitterness, but this aftertaste that I'm not a huge fan of.
Reading on the label, you would expect this to be like more fuller bodied, more complex. Therefore, in a simple sake equation, if you will, like it merits more from being served warm, or like it has characteristics which makes it more suitable to be served warm. But this one is a bit of a curveball.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what? It actually pairs well with this now.
Oh,
With what?
With the
Salami?
shiso salami. When I paired it like with the second sake, for example, I feel like it was a bit too much of like both worlds, that they were sort of getting in the way of each other. So I didn't love that. But with this, because it's such a like a short palette and just sort of everything feels a bit more evaporating, it actually sort of brings out more of like the shiso flavor. It makes the sausage a bit more like aromatic.
Can you pass me the Mabo peanuts?
Yeah. This one here?
I'm curious to see how it goes.
Yeah, it might work well.
I wanted you to pair that with the squirrel one. This one.
Nuts and nuts.
Maybe you go back and try it. Works with Gouda, not so much Parmesan.
Yeah, with Gouda,
Gouda
it's
is
really
good.
nice.
You need something a bit more neutral then.
A bit fresher.
Yeah.
Because I think this is quite fresh still,
Very
in
fresh,
hiyaoroshi.
very fresh.
I think, based on my experimentation with the peanuts are wrong, but the like Mabo tofu flavor that the peanuts are coated with works. So like cold takiji, this cold takiji with Mabo tofu would probably be nice.
Interesting.
But the peanuts are a little too like oily and proteiny, a little too nutty, and they kind of get in the way of the nutty note that it does have. It's cold.
Yeah, I think that more sort of concentrated or condensed flavor profile that I think we refer to as juicy probably benefits from I think it probably stands up against spices better, or like heat, as in like chili pepper heat better than maybe the two previous sake did.
Yeah, I think it works with the spiciness. It works with like the numbing from the Sichuan pepper. The peanuts, I don't need the peanut. I just need like the fried chili and Sichuan pepper.
No, but you're right. I think it has like the density of flavor and the higher sweetness and acidity for it to pair better with like Thai food, for example. Like something that's like spicy but also slightly more sweet.
Yeah, I think it works. Most sake doesn't necessarily like the orthodoxies that sake doesn't go with spicy food very well. But I think this works for sure. I think even hot, it works okay. It's better. It's nicer cold, but even warm, I think it's pretty good.
It really highlights the pepper note.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
And the sweeter sort of palate
No,
Plays better with like the heat, as in spiciness.
true.
Mm-mm. What an
So-
interesting experimentation. Like, I was banking on this last one to be like the most bigger boned, like
Mhm. Yeah,
matured,
for sure.
flavorful. But actually, this turned out to be like not fresh in the way that it's like very light bodied, but fresh in a way that it's like very, very juicy. You know, it
Yeah,
has
for
that like,
sure.
for me, like that condensed, concentrated fruit feel.
Mhm.
And definitely the effervescence as an extra layer of freshness to it. Which was like a total surprise to me.
Yeah, so sometimes reading a label helps, sometimes it doesn't. So do you want to let's review the three that we tasted today. The first one was Joku, was a junmai from Aomori.
Aomori.
Well, to us, it tasted best at red wine temperature, so slightly colder than room temperature, and it paired nicely with.
I'm willing to go back and test it out, but I think it pairs nicely with like maybe Gouda or like camembert or something. Like a fresh or like a whitewashed cheese might be nice. I did initially think it might do better with like a let's say like a carpaccio or some sort of like a tempura, which is a lot sort of lighter in the flavor profile. But I'm not so sure if that's the case anymore because this sake joku definitely has a very unique, matured characteristic that that differentiates itself from a regular sort of your standard sake. But it's also quite light and straightforward and clean in the flavor profile. So I'm thinking something that's like not too complex, you know, like the Gouda cheese that we had earlier or your tsukemono pickles, something that's like slightly salty but not too complicated.
Right. I agree. And the second one was Mongai Fushitsu, Junmai Ginjo, and it's from Tochigi. And this one we liked at warmer temperature, much, much better, and tasted amazingly with the meatballs.
Yes, 100%. I actually enjoyed it both at room temperature and warm. What I think sort of appealed to me the most is the sort of deceptively rich, matured characteristics that it had, despite it being only like 6 or 8 months old.
Right.
It definitely takes on a lot more of like the raw honey, toffee like matured characteristics without it being like too much, you know?
Right.
So for me, it's like a perfectly pairable pour of sake, especially if you are having it with a more rich main course. It works really well, like with your, let's say, like your teriyaki sauce like flavor. That's my takeaway. What do you think, Frank?
I mean, yeah, I think it's a classic hot sake with classic Japanese flavors, right? It's very nice. And I think going into the winter, like buying a bottle and kind of having it slowly, like keeping it in the fridge maybe, but having it slowly for the next like 3 or 4 months would be really interesting, especially with playing with temperature and stuff like that.
100%, yeah.
Yep. And the third one was kind of like a dark horse. We thought this would be kind of more complex. I thought it would be more earthy, better warm, but it turned out to be very fizzy, juicy, quite fresh. And it paired beautifully with Gouda cheese and Szechuan pepper peanuts.
I agree. I think I liked the Takaji the best of the three. I think they all have There's something about them that I think is kind of a through line of like the hiyaoroshi style. Hard to describe what it is, but there is something there. Maybe a little more caramely than like a shinshu, a new sake, or like a natsuzake or something. But I definitely think I like the takaji best, probably of the three. What about you guys?
I personally like the second one the best. For me, like a big sort of quality of sake that I look for personally is sort of like its versatility and its pairability with food. And I think the second one amongst the three that we tasted today sort of lends itself more to sort of being a supporting actor role when paired with food. So for me, that was a big win. Also for it taking on a lot more of a matured aged sake flavor with it while it's being only 6 or 8 months old. It's quite surprising and quite like a pleasant surprise to me. So I think I enjoyed the Mongai Fushitsu, the second one, the best. But I also know that it's your favorite sake, so I'm willing to hear what you have to say.
I think it depends on the occasion. So takaji, the third one, I would bring to a friend's potluck or something. Like it's kind of like a versatile sake. Versatile is maybe not a good word.
Easy drinking?
It's easily loved sake. It's fizzy, it's juicy, it's easy to love. So I would bring it to my friend's place. But the first and the second, Joku and Mongai Fushitsu, I would have them at home and drink them on, I don't know, like a relaxing night with some easy food at home. A lot. So, yeah, they're all great in different ways for different occasions, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. I think, coming sort of circling back to the notion of hiyaoroshi, which was kind of the theme for the night, it's so difficult for me to categorize all these three different sakes into one single category of hiyaoroshi because they all taste very distinctively to each other. That to the point that if I tasted them three blind, I wouldn't be able to correctly say that all three belong to the bigger theme or bigger category or genre that is hiyaoroshi.
Yeah, so we should keep experimenting and
don't let the label fool you.
Exactly.
Yeah. So to everybody who's kind of spent time with us as we experiment, show a little behind the scenes of how I think especially Miho and Marie kind of figure out what sake to pair with what and figure out the pros and cons of a particular sake or figure out the strengths and weaknesses of a particular sake. I hope you guys all have a safe and happy sake day.
And
Happy
to
sake
that,
day.
kampai.
Kampai.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Sake on Air. We will be back with a new episode very soon, but in the meantime, please take a moment to review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. As always, send your questions and comments to questions@sakeonair.com or reach out to us on Instagram or Facebook at @sakeonair. Don't forget that we have a YouTube and a Substack as well. Sake on Air is made possible with the generous support of the Japan Sake and Shochu Makers Association and is broadcast from the Japan Sake and Shochu Information Center in downtown Tokyo. It is produced by Export Japan, and our team is Shuso Imada, Justin Potts, Arlene Lyons, Cindy Bissig, Chris Hughes, Chris Pellegrini, John Gottner, Marie Nagata, Miho Ota, Rebecca Wilson-Lai, Sebastian Wan, and me, Frank Walter. Until next time, kampai!